Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are you all?
Very well,
We are
thank
well.
you.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you guys as well, and huge congratulations. The film Thorbaz is totally, touring everything. It's getting some rave reviews all over the world. How do you
Thank
feel
you.
about it all? Hearing all those amazing reviews and the fact that it's in 192 countries, I believe, worldwide.
Yes,
That's right.
That's good. So how does that make you guys feel?
top of the world.
Definitely meant a few words today, I think. But anyway, I watched the film and I absolutely loved it. I think it's such a unique film for Bollywood because it's not made with the usual style of the kind of films that we see in Bollywood. In fact, it's the first in terms of when it was filmed in Bishkek, I believe. What was it like filming there? Because watching the film, it looked like it was very cold, and obviously, the kind of luxury and the gloss that we normally see in Bollywood films. There's none of that in here. And obviously, Rahulji, you were filming in caves and things like that, so that must have been quite tough. Would you be able to describe what the experiences were like?
I mean, I can explain my first day, very first day of. I mean, you arrive at a sort of plush hotel and you're welcomed and all of that happens, and then you take your first day of shooting and you watch it from the car. It looks great. You step out of the car and it just sort of the cold's getting to you, but you're still all right because you're wearing your own jacket and all of that.
Yeah.
You step into the costume and you figure out, man, this is freaking cold. And then, of course, very harmlessly, your director tells you, we are starting with a montage today, which basically involves you walking through, like the snow and all of that. And it's basically no talkie today. Or there was talkie, I think, but a lot of it was also montage. So, you start trudging into the snow and you're thinking, you imagine all those scenes when you see them in the movies.
Yes.
Going through the snow, it all looks very well. But when you actually trudge through the snow, I mean, I stepped on it and most of it went inside. I was knee deep down. And when we sort of finished the montage, which also involved some Quran, sort of doing the whole end of prayer thing, it was blue. My feet up till the knees were completely blue. I had to really thaw it out in the midst of the car because the caravans couldn't come up because of the locale. It was like really on a precarious sort of height.
So how do you do it? It's such difficult climate, such difficult conditions, but your performance, I have to say, I loved watching you in Thorbaz, amazing. So it's so hard when you're in those situations, in those kind of climates, to then get into character and do your scene. How do you manage to do that so well?
I think you just sort of the extremeness of the climate sort of helped me in the intensity while playing it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And it sort of fluctuated a hell of a lot from day to day. From day one, say -10, -12, it was very, very warm on the day of the caves, extremely warm. The caves were very, very cool. But the outside, the exterior, when I'm talking to the men, it was hot as hell. Same clothing. So the weather would really fluctuate. So I'm very good with warm or hot conditions. I'm all right with that. The issue is the cold. But most of it was sort of in extreme cold. So I carry memories of it. It's still very strong ones. So in terms of all of that, but you felt what it might be for people living in those conditions.
Yeah.
You felt the part. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it helped you play the part because you could actually feel it, and that actually.
I mean, a bit of it was also when you say you play a part, then where you are is one of the things as an actor. Where the situation, then your geography, where you are. And then, of course, language and then so on and so forth, content, all of that. So in one area, it sort of helped me.
Yeah. And as filmmakers, Girish and Sunil sir, what was that like in terms of getting the crew to a brand new location where, Indian films have never been filmed before? and obviously in the kind of climates that Rahulji described, to be able to maneuver between hot and cold climates and make sure that there was no interruption with the film. What was that like? How did you manage that process?
Yeah, see, I will just straight away say one thing very clearly here. There are filmmakers who are, see, everyone wants to shoot with a lot of control when they're shooting, everything under the studio, lighting, perfect light, this, that. I think I'm a sort of a director who believes a little bit of imperfection. So to begin with, I like that. I think imperfection in overall, I see more, I find it more prettier. Like, looking for locations like Afghanistan was very, very hard task. To begin with, like writing a story to other things was still much easier. But finding a location to shoot, like we went to Georgia, we went to Uzbekistan, we went to so many other places, so many other areas. But we couldn't find a place where I felt comfortable and safe with the locals in terms of, coming really forward to help us. And also, certain kind of mosques that I needed, certain kind of graveyards I needed, and the first time I also, people have always seen Afghanistan in browns all the time. They've never seen Afghanistan in winters. Till I saw one beautiful film called Buzkashi, which is their was a sport, and it was a beautiful film shot by one Iraqi cinematographer. Like he was supposed to work with us. And when I saw his film, I said, my God, with that browns and blue, that snow can look amazing. And there I could find out, that entire Pamir highway, the Silk Route in Kyrgyzstan. And okay, yes, there was certain Russian architecture, but then we could, go away with that, do away with that with a lot of VFX. But I think Kyrgyzstan and the borders of Uzbekistan and Osh and certain parts of Uzbekistan, it was big challenging, but I convinced be it Rahul, Sanjay sir, Nargis and everybody. I said, it's going to be a bit chaotic in terms of weather, but once you go, and that exactly happened. Initially when even Sanju sir came and he says, oh, Girish, where have you got us, man? It's so windy and this, we can't shoot. But the next half an hour, I saw a small child clicking pictures everywhere, creating selfies and telling the teams, okay, let's post this. So he was like, everybody was mesmerized with the location, and that's what really we wanted to do. And I think that's where it worked. When the actors and everybody in the entire crew begins to like certain location, I think your half of the journey is like, easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you did a fantastic job, because the backdrop of playing cricket in that location it's nothing that we've ever seen before. So, visually really, really nice to see. The other question I want to ask is your marketing. Most people, when a film is about to come out, they do all the promos before the film. But you've decided to come and talk about the film after it's come out. Was that deliberate, or is that just something that's just happened?
I think it's got a lot to do with the way film has responded worldwide. We, when you work against the tide, you don't know, your heart can sink anytime, because with the people having, the phone and the fast fingers and the trying to review and trying to look so intelligent while, sending a review. So similarly, our heart also sank. First of all, Netflix had its own planning. They released the promo, and then they cleared, and we said, sure, let's let people look at the film. So with almost the way the film was released, and within 2 days, 3 days, I think we found our voice. I think because the way audience reacted worldwide, and initially, I knew that a lot of people would just say, this film, okay, trying to be, a little pompous about, trying to have certain kind of a concept. But yes, the moment the film began to travel, I think we found our admirers of our film worldwide. And we decided to go out and tell the world why we made this film, why this film is so relevant, why we're trying to help those innocent next generation and try to give them a voice. And we gathered that courage to make that film. So I think it became important to find our voice, to let people know that, why this film was so relevant and why we made this film. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now I want to ask you about the casting, because the casting is really interesting. Obviously, we've got Sanjay Dutt there as the main lead, and then we've got Rahulji, who's with us now, in terms of playing the antagonist. But then you've got Nargis as well, and she's not, normally played such roles. We've always seen her in more glamorous type of roles. So your character is also very well defined, very well researched, very unique as well. What made you choose the cast that you have?
I think to begin with, Sanju sir, I think I needed a character who's seen so much of loss in his life,
Mm,
and yet his eyes kind of speak volumes. And someone like, maybe he looks very macho, but the moment it comes down to small children, he might just kind of bond so well. So it might look very interesting. I think I couldn't get a better face than Sanju sir in terms of the way I conceived Nasir, who has lost everything in this game. But so I think casting him, and he bonded extremely well with the children, which was the most critical thing for me.
yeah.
Casting Rahul was, I was very clear. I probably, we were thinking whether to get some Afghani man from Afghanistan. We did try to get in touch with a lot of people. Then we did try to get in touch with one American Afghani who lives. But somehow, I was not convinced. Somehow I had this whole image of, someone very casual, someone very simple in terms of his body language, and who can just speak through his eyes. And and also, one visual I think is very striking for all of us, like Osama bin Laden, who's just walking with one stick in his hand, and suddenly he comes and looks at this place. I mean, you can't imagine that man was capable of 9/11.
Mm,
And I suddenly thought, no, I'm not looking at a one macho Rambo kind of a guy. I need someone very comfortable with himself, someone very casual, someone very simple, and more candid. And I think when we saw Rahul, and I could imagine him with that beard and with that, pug on his head. So I think I was very clear. I mean, this is my Kazar.
yeah.
And coming back to Nargis, and I do not want to go before I talk about my children. So I think Nargis, yes, you're right. Everybody thinks about her as very glamorous woman.
Mm,
I don't know. I mean, she looked to me very Irani and Afghani. She's American, so I was looking for a character who's American Afghan, who's come studied in America and done her work in America. Now has come back to her country to work with her children and all that. I think with that kind of face, with that kind of hijab, I thought like she was going to look fantastic, and she has looked fantastic in the film. And I think and that's the kind of a vision that I think I had for my casting. But coming back to the children, it was very difficult. I was very clear in my head that I am not going to cast trained children. I need very raw, rustic, who never acted before. And I found certain children from Afghanistan, from Kashmir, from different part of India, and I think just because they did not have any preconceived notion about the way one is supposed to act, it was very natural. I think children are fast learners, and I think I was very happy with the whole bouquet, with the casting. Yes.
fantastic. And Rahulji, what made you accept the role of Kazar? Were you instantly drawn to the character?
I had a backstory about Girish and Puneet, both of them here. The backstory was that my brother had done a film with Girish. It was called Jal.
Yes.
So it was one of the better films that year, and it was received very, very well critically. And both these gentlemen were responsible for producing the film, and Girish was responsible for directing it. And about a year ago, prior to sort of my first meeting with Girish, so Puneet Kaji and myself, we were both traveling to Punjab to play for his team, which is the Punjab 11, which is the inter sort of industry 11, like the Bollywood guys against the Bollywood and so on and so forth. So he has the Punjab 11, and I was playing for him, and he sort of dropped the idea and says that we're going to be calling you very soon for a film. It's damn interesting. You watch out. Rahul Baji, it'll be very sort of nice, but I let the director do the talking. I didn't know that Girish and I stay in the same building in Bombay. We're just 2 floors apart. And so it was ironical that I didn't know that this director existed in my building. So what a gem. And I saw him first time in the lift, and the lift is taking us, and my, Mugdha and I are partners, and Mugdha sort of acknowledged him. But somehow we never got to say hi to each other at that meeting, and then I got a call from them. So I was happy, and he took me through a documentary, which BBC, which was made for the BBC, and a journalist from England had sort of stayed with over a month with Talibanis, and he sort of got the other side of the Talibanis, and that documentary left a sort of deep mark on my mind. And then, of course, I knew that he'll make a sensitive film. He'll make, because I already had a. And then he showed me a film which both of them again are producing. It's called The Band of Maharajas.
Mm.
And it was that time in a very, very unfinished stage. So sort of you just came back from an outdoor and you sort of roughly got some visuals. They were just mind-boggling visuals from Ladakh. So I said, man, this is it. So there was no really thinking after that on my part that should I or should I not. And that was it. And of course, they told me that Sanju's doing it. It's my fifth collaboration with Sanju.
Yes.
We shot for my first film together, which never saw light of day. We shot for Das in America. 42 days he stayed with me. Or rather, I stayed with him.
Mm.
And we have a very strong association from those days in terms of a lot of respect for each other. And then both Kidnap and Blue and then Sarat Par and now Torbaz. So all in all, it was like a winning situation, and here we are.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, you mentioned about your relationship with Sanjay Dutt, sir. There is a scene that I remember. It's when obviously Sanjay Dutt's taken hostage by your little gang. So Nasser's been bashed about, and then you two are sat there, and he, even though he's dripping in blood, he's telling you that just let the children play cricket. And that scene, I mean, it doesn't make you look. And credit to the director here and the story. You could have looked really menacing here, but the way your character, the way you come out and say, yeah, okay, fine, you can play cricket. So this is a big terrorist that is agreeing to let children play cricket. That scene is quite powerful. When you were performing that scene for the cameras, are you able to take us back to that and describe, because obviously you've got a really good relationship, as you said, with Sanjay Dutt, sir. So was it easier because of that relationship to be able to do the scene? And also the way you played it, like I said, most villains, you get that big menacing look and that big aggression, but this was so like subtly done and so sort of, you just, this big terrorist is talking about cricket. So it was really amazing how it was done, in my view. So would you be able to tell us a little bit more about how you felt performing that?
So the treatment, I'll have to give credit to my director, that's all. Because in the end, the cinema is about them. They sort of design the whole thing, and then you play in your bit. So the gentleman in spectacles on my right my right side of the screen can sort of answer that. For me, I've always been, I've always personally liked subtle. Less is always more for me. And unfortunately, or fortunately, or in whichever way you might describe it, of course, I wouldn't have had a living otherwise. When I sort of started off in the business, which was December 22nd, 2000, the industry was in a certain way. It was a little regressive. The audiences used to lap up that kind of larger than life, that kind of what you just mentioned.
Yes.
But actually, for me, when you two people talk, why should I be screaming at him? He's in my den. My guys are all around and they're all with guns and he's pleading. And I have to use that situation to my advantage, which is okay, he's agreed to a cricket match. And this boy who's been trained by us bars is the main person. So he gets a positioning to sort of be a human bomb at a place which will be very collective. So if a bomb goes up there as a human bomb within a cricket match, which is being taken place to cement ties, which are peace ties, it sort of overthrows the situation, one. Two, I think it also is big world news from that small place. So, everything was working in terms of if I put myself organically in that situation. Then from a Kazar point of view, it works perfectly. So you sort of think about it and you say, okay, all right, so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in terms of the comfort with him, he's a very giving actor. Irrespective of whether I know him or don't know him. The first film, we didn't really know each other. We knew of each other. He would know me as a supermodel. I would know him as the Sanjay Dutt, for example. So we sort of, the common connect was being well and looking after the bodies. So that was, we would work out together, all of that. So other than that, he's a very basic man, and so that helps when the other actor is a giving actor, not a kind of actor who's selfish, not a kind of actor who wants to sort of dominate everything or is sort of insecure. He's a very secure person.
Mm.
So that makes for a great, co-actor. Anybody who's a secure person will always be a very good co-actor, always. So, so director, actor, the way it's written, and then of course my bit.
Yeah.
So it all went and all, and I'm really glad that you've noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad that I've heard this from you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare question that we.
Yeah, it's a very clear feedback. Somebody who's.
I love the scene. I just
Really
thought it was
watched it
very powerful. And Girish, I'd like to ask you, because obviously a director, before your actors come to the scene, you have a vision of how you want that scene. And obviously now seeing the scene and how your actors have delivered it, what would you say to that scene? Is it exactly to your vision, or has it come out differently to what you perceived, and perhaps the actors have added their own to it to make it look the way it is?
There are two things I would say here.
Yeah.
One thing is that if you see the entire film, the entire film was so large.
Yes.
It's so big, and in many ways. So I wanted to mesmerize the audience with the whole bigness and the kind of location, and this such a beautiful human story is existing. When we talk about this particular scene, all I wanted to see is how two men who are grown up and are in certain position look each other into the eyes. All I wanted to see is the tight closes and the eyes and just the reaction and performance out of the face, not through their body, not through their body language or anything else, and nothing which is like very, very elaborated. I wanted that scene to be not at high tempo and with a such massive, Hans Zimmer kind of opera going on here. So I wanted it to be a very heart-to-heart discussion, very clear-cut. So when the two people are looking at each other like straight into their eye, so audience are also looking like that. So I was very clear that my this particular scene is going to be a complete performance between the two top actors, between the two actors, and they how they perform through their eyes. And I'm glad both of them have very impressive eyes, and both of them very, very ready with that scene. And the other thing is that when it comes down to if the actor does his bit, see, I am very clear what I want from my actors. That is something that I'm very clear. And before the scene, every scene, I go to my actors, I read out once, irrespective of whether they want it or don't want it. I want to still read, this is how I wrote and this is how I want the scene to be. The second thing is, minimum, this is what I expect. Or after that, whatever, they might just surprise me, and which is I'm all okay with. And I think in that particular scene, whatever I visualized, I think it was done to the, absolutely, A to Z. And then also there are some beautiful surprises. Like, if you remember, my favorite moment in that entire scene is when he says ki inko mauka dena hoga.
Yeah.
When Rahul comes and, Kazak comes and, he looks at his people and he smiles. He says, yaar, tu bada ajeeb kisam ka shaitan hai. I'm saying it's not, tu to bada ajeeb, it's not that elaborate. It's just bada ajeeb kisam ka shaitan. Bahut ajeeb kisam ka shaitan hai. He's just talking so casual. Yaar, kaisa aadmi aaya hai? It's so human. That's performance for me.
Yeah.
And, the other thing is like, he looks and just smiles. And when, he subtly, when he says something, he cricket match rakh lo, he just kind of changes his eyes to this and then bring back to there. That's it. Yeah. Nothing else. There is no zoom and the background, saying, hello, he thought something, please, notice. No, I think, we are in a different world. We're a different kind of cinema that we're doing. So I think this particular scene is extremely important. If in entire film, I have scenes which are like 1 minute, half minute. This was 6 minute scene, 5.5 minute scene. And I could not cut a single line. It was there through and through. And I think they held the scene. I think the whole credit goes to the actors. And I'm very happy that, we wrote certain scene and that was delivered in absolutely perfection. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And it was the only take. We just did it in one take.
One take. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's it. It was just like a start to end take.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
One
just
take.
I thought you were brilliant. You know, normally you're fascinated with the actor, but my focus was more on you and thinking this villain looked so charming, so handsome,
Okay.
and he's so powerful just by doing hardly anything, just through your facial expressions, just being simple. And I think Girish sir said it very well, just being human, because you didn't need all that extra dramatization that you normally see in most movies.
The documentary also helped. Watching
Yes.
the documentary.
Mhm.
So the strange irony of the documentary was that the leader of the Talibanis in that documentary was an ex-minister.
Right.
Okay, and one of the people who were closely associated with that ex-minister
Mhm.
was an ex-javelin champion, like an Olympic champion from that region.
Wow.
So imagine a champion is reduced to shooting with guns, or a minister. Normally, ministers all have flush lives. So him, his wife, children, all of those people are in a makeshift sort of natural habitat, which is of stone, which no real sewage or no real shower or no real, toilet facilities. So
Yes.
they were staying like that for over a month,
Wow.
and this journalist was traveling with them. So that sort of, so you sort of got an insight into the other side of these people.
That helps.
I mean, their hardships.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, the title of the movie is very clever. Torbaz, and you've got this little bird of prey that you've
Yeah.
got filmed in the movie. What
Yeah.
was the thinking behind all of that? What made you come up with that title and the significance of the bird in the film that you show, the bird of prey?
Yeah. See, Torbaz is a metaphor in our film in many ways. Torbaz means black falcon in Afghanistan. But like even in India, in Punjab, people say, "Oh, this man is Torbaz." Well, this man is with a lot of pride.
Yeah.
The black falcon in Afghanistan is with a lot of pride. So even in UP, the people say, "Arey Torbaz," means it's got attitude. So Torbaz is like, it's like for children, when they see a big bird like that, they see, oh, that eagle, that falcon, that black baz is me, that I can fly. It's like they want to fly. At the same time, this bird of prey, because if you see, it's very interestingly poised. You see the children having a little fantasy towards it, and eventually they're calling the team Torbaz. But in the beginning, the same bird, you can become that bird who's basically coming to get the lamb. So when you grow up, so if you say what is Torbaz in a film, can you describe me? I described the entire film in the first scene. If you notice that,
Yes.
where these guys have come, they're looking at the children, and this huge hawked falcon is sitting there and looking at the lamb, and he's coming to get the lamb. So, and then there was a line which we somehow, took it out, but because we didn't want to address it, that line, that Qurbani ke bakre kabhi kam nahi honge, means the lamb will always be slaughtered. So I think, I had too many reasons for this beautiful title, and I didn't want to explain. Like even the beginning with Netflix also, we were very clear. Let's not write Black Falcon. Let people discover Black Falcon in the film, and eventually, I think not only globally, but even in India, people could get that.
Yeah. The first scene is very clever, and it does depict that. Now, your last film, Jal, won national awards and won again, just like this one, lots of amazing reviews. Do you think any expectation for Torbaz awards wise?
I think Jal being our first love and mine and Puneet's, the first film that we ever produced after producing so much of television. Yes, Jal was special. We never thought like we were. See, first of all, to begin with, I didn't know the difference between a commercial film or an art film. For me, either there's a bad story or there's a good story. And when we were making Jal, I thought we were making a good story. And we didn't even realize that we were not prepared that film will win national award to it will go to Busan, like one of my favorite festivals in the world. And we were in competition, and then we won we were in the Indian Panorama, and then the script was invited to the Oscar library. I think with Jal, a lot happened. I have no clue how our film will be taking a path in terms of festivals, or in terms of like maybe positioning to some other level. And it completely depends on Netflix, how they want to progress that entire journey. But I think for this particular film, the accolades have come very quick. See, for Jal, we had to do the journey for over a year, or maybe more than a year, to go to Australia, to Korea, to Japan, to China, to Cannes. But here, in 2 weeks, our film was globally wild. I mean, in the 51st week in of the last year, 2020, our film was number 8 in the world.
Yeah.
Where like, very rarely, any Hindi film has reached, probably there. I think, as my data says, and I've gone into every week to check, is there other films? So I realized that, we were trending so fast. So I think this platform is already making your film reach. I think, yes, festivals are important for director. Oh, I won this and I won that. But eventually I want to win the hearts of my audience. And I think this film has done phenomenally well for global audience already. And I'm sure this film is here to stay with Netflix for a long, long time. And people will keep discovering it, and people will keep finding about this film.
Yeah, true. And Puniji, to add to that, do you think as a producer it's better to have this film come out the way it has on OTT platforms compared to a theatrical release?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely happy that it's got the release on a platform like Netflix, and reach 192 countries. And like what he said is absolutely right, that the first day when it was being released, there were a lot of things happening here and there about some mixed reviews from critics, from audience reviews were great, but in the next day, we had kept a small screening for some people here in India, and as in when we were just about to start it, we could see that we were at the number 1 position. So that's when we started discovering that in India we were in number 1, and then after that it was like an excitement journey for next 1 week, that every single hour we were just discovering, oh wow, it's number 1 in Pakistan, it's number 1 in Bangladesh, number 1 in UAE, number 1 in Qatar, in Oman, in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia. And then you discover that countries like Vietnam, and then Cyprus, and then Singapore and Hong Kong, and then Lebanon, so many countries, it's trending in top 10. And the 4th day we realized, wow man, we've reached in the top 10 position. And then slowly we were trending from going up from the 10th to the 9th to the 8th. So it was like the way it was going, and the way the world global audience, the way they were reacting to it, that was definitely probably a much more, I would say, a contentment for any filmmaker, any producer, any actor, or anyone to be a part of this kind of a cinema. So it probably, the initial things of the Indian audience, whatever the mixed reviews had started coming in, and when the global audience, the reviews started pouring in, it was like 90% people talking good about it. And some people loved the story, some people loved the the visuals, some people loved the actors, some people loved the children, some people loved the cricket part of it. But the way in totality, each and everything was being complimented. So I think it was a fantastic moment every single minute when we were discovering how the people are loving it, they're reacting over it and they're talking. And even till now, since the new normal, the OTT thing, I mean, it's not that the first 2 days the people have watched it or not watched it, and then you've lost it. So the new normal is this, and then when even now we still keep on receiving those kind of reactions from here and there, and people are reaching out to us. So I think it's a thing which you're celebrating, and even after a month. And I am sure that probably the journey still goes on. So it's a fantastic thing, I would say.
Brilliant. Well, fantastic. It's been my pleasure speaking to all of you. Thank you so much. And I hope that the film continues to get all the appreciation that it has so far, because I've absolutely loved watching it. And I think it's probably my favorite film of the year for sure.
Wow, wonderful. So, thanks very much for having us.
No, thank you. Thank you for producing.
Happy New Year once again, and stay safe.
You too. Stay safe, stay warm. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.